You ever get the feeling that someone's messing with you, but they're just slick enough to make you question your own sanity? That was me, standing at the edge of my driveway, staring down at my destroyed mailbox for the third time in 2 weeks. It was tilted at a weird angle, split wood, dirt everywhere, and it wasn't even the damage that bothered me the most. It was the way it felt so deliberate, like someone had swerved just to make a point. And at first, I chalked it up to coincidence. Maybe delivery drivers were cutting corners, or the local teens were acting out. But after the third time, something in my gut told me this wasn't random. This was personal. I live out on a quiet stretch of road just outside of Prescott Hollow, a sleepy little town where the biggest news used to be the county fair or the occasional lost goat. I've got a small ranch, some chickens, and a view of the sky that reminds you just how big the world is when you get away from the city. The kind of place where you wave at your neighbors, and you all mostly keep to yourselves, which is exactly how I like it. But even out here, we've got an HOA because of course we don't. That's where Karen comes in. Her real name's not Karen, but for the sake of this story, let's call her that because she earned the title 100 times over. HOA president, self-appointed enforcer of community standards, and somehow always walking that thin line between annoying and unhinged. I tried to stay off her radar. I really did. But apparently my custom wooden mailbox with hand-painted designs my late wife did herself was just too much for her to handle. First time it got knocked down, I thought maybe it was a fluke. I rebuilt it. Second time, I figured I must have made it too close to the road. Third time, nah, this wasn't bad luck. This was targeted. So I did what any modern rancher would do. I installed a trail cam, low profile, nestled into an old oak tree near the fence line, right across from the mailbox. Didn't even take 3 days before I caught her red-handed. Karen, in her gray SUV, swerving just enough to clip it with her side mirror like she was playing some demented version of Grand Theft Auto. And you know what she did afterward? Reported saw to the HOA for non-regulation mailbox design. The audacity almost made me laugh. So I tried the reasonable route. I walked over to her house, knocked on the door, and politely asked why she was destroying my property. She gave me that tight, smug smile, the kind that makes your teeth itch, and said, "Your mailbox doesn't meet the aesthetic guidelines for our community. It's my duty to maintain visual harmony." Visual harmony? Are you kidding me? This is ranch land, not some plastic suburb in a catalog. And then she hit me with the thinnest official-looking letters from the HOA saying I owed fees for each infraction. Total nonsense. I reviewed the bylaws myself and found a clause that rural homes outside the main loop weren't even held to the same decorative standards. But she knew most people wouldn't dig that deep. She counted on intimidation, on people backing down. But I wasn't about to let her stomp all over my property and pretend it was for the greater good. I called up a buddy of mine, Caleb, retired engineer turned blacksmith, and we got to work. We designed something special, a mailbox post that looked like standard wood from the outside, but was reinforced with quarter-inch military-grade steel and poured full of concrete. That thing weighed more than some of the tractors in my shed. We wrapped it in reclaimed cedar, hand-stained it to match the old style, and bolted it straight into a 3-foot-deep concrete footing. It wasn't going anywhere, and it looked almost exactly like the one she kept running over. I installed it one quiet evening. No fanfare, no sign that anything had changed except to anyone who got close enough to realize that thing was built like a tank. Then I waited. Wasn't even a full week before it happened. I was sipping coffee on my porch just past dusk when I heard the telltale crunch of gravel, a slight rev of an engine, and then saw a sound like metal kissing death. I rushed down the driveway with my phone already rolling. There she was, Karen's SUV, nose crumpled in like a soda can, steam hissing from under the hood. She stumbled out, mascara running, one high heel in her hand like she had to drive with it. And the look on her face when she saw me standing there? Priceless. "You set me up," she screamed, pointing at the mailbox like it had committed a war crime. "No, ma'am," I said, calm as a Sunday picnic. You ran into my mailbox. Again. Police showed up not long after. She tried to spin it, saying I'd booby-trapped it, made it illegal somehow. But I showed them the footage. I showed them the HOA clause. And most importantly, I showed them the 3 previous reports where she'd filed claims about my mailbox. Meaning she admitted she knew it was there. The officer, this young guy named Orieli, tried so hard not to laugh. But you could see it on his face. He knew exactly what kind of person she was. Insurance wouldn't cover her damages. They ruled it as intentional vehicular vandalism. And suddenly she was on the hook for thousands in repairs. Not to mention, the HOA board started asking questions. Turns out, other neighbors had been dealing with her nonsense too: silent fines, citations for things like mismatched flower pots or unauthorized wind chimes. She was a one-woman HOA Gestapo, and my mailbox? That was the final straw. She lost her presidency a month later. Officially, they said it was due to health concerns, but everyone knew the truth. One guy down the road threw a barbecue to celebrate and called it the Steel Post Party. Someone even made t-shirts with a mailbox cartoon flexing muscles. I still have mine. But here's the thing. I didn't do all this for revenge. I mean, sure, it felt good. Really good. But what drove me wasn't the wrecked SUV or the HOA fallout. It was the principle that nobody, no matter how much faux authority they carry, has the right to destroy what's yours and act like you're the problem. My wife painted that mailbox before she passed. It was one of the last projects we did together. And every time I rebuilt it, I felt like I was fighting to keep a piece of her alive. Karen thought she could erase that with a bumper and a clipboard. Well, not anymore. Nowadays, that mailbox stands just like it did, quiet, strong, and unbothered. People pass by, sometimes slow down just to admire the craftsmanship. One neighbor told me it's the most beautiful "don't mess with me" message he's ever seen. And every so often, I catch someone staring at it with a little grin, maybe wondering what the story is. I just tip my hat and keep walking, because some things don't need explaining. They speak for themselves. So what do you think? Was I petty? Or justified? Ever dealt with an HOA that went way too far? Drop your story in the comments, I want to hear it. And hey, if you've got a neighbor like Karen, maybe send them this video. Subtlety's overrated. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button if you want more real stories from the ranch, the suburbs, and everything in between. Because sometimes, the best revenge really is just a stronger mailbox.